U.S. tariffs is set to take effect today, and our next guest has been a strong critic of the Trump administration's trade policies. Joining us right now, Ontario Premier Doug Ford. We very much appreciate you joining us this morning. I imagine you're going to be watching and listening to the president later today. But even before we get there, have you had any meaningful conversations with this administration about what these tariffs could look like?
I have, Andrew. And first of all, thanks for having me on. And I always start every interview. Canadians love Americans. I love America. And they're just an incredible neighbor. And saying all that, I had a conversation last week with Secretary Lutnick and just told him how we feel. And it's going to hurt Americans. It's going to hurt American jobs. It's going to hurt investments. We've seen the market tumble. I'm sure it's going to start tumbling again today because people don't want uncertainty. Markets don't want uncertainty. And I've never seen anything like it. Attacking your number one customer, President Trump is, not the American people. President Trump's attacking their number one ally, their number one customer. And it's going to be unfortunate. He calls it Liberation Day. I call it Termination Day because people are going to be losing their jobs across the U.S. You can't just all of a sudden put tariffs on every part and every widget that comes across the border. Ontario alone employs over 9 million people. They wake up every single morning to produce products for Ontario. That's Ontario alone, not mentioning the entire country.
Do you expect this to be a negotiation, meaning there has been a sense implied or otherwise that we're going to hear a number, whether it's 20% or something else, as a sort of top, and that if folks like yourself come forward and say, you know what, we're going to take some tariffs off of this and we're going to do this, perhaps that those tariff numbers come down?
Well, let's hope so. Let's sit down and discuss this because it's just going to hurt American jobs. I can't stress it enough. And, you know, again, he believes he's supporting Americans. He said he was going to create jobs, create wealth, reduce inflation. It's worked the total opposite. Inflation.
But do you think it's fair that you have tariffs on a whole number of products?
That's right. And we'd be willing to take those off tomorrow if he took all the tariffs off. We are not the problem, Andrew. Do you know the problem is? China's the problem. And he's taking a blind eye to China as they continue to build their critical mineral mass. We have all the critical minerals that our great neighbors need. We have the energy that our great neighbors need.
I just want to go back for a moment. If, in fact, you're prepared to take your tariffs off, why wouldn't you have that negotiation and that conversation now before any tariffs get put in place?
Well, we've had this conversation for over the last month. We don't want tariffs. We have another $65 billion worth of tariffs to launch today. That's the last thing we want to do because it's just, again, it's going to hurt both countries. It's going to hurt American workers. That's the last thing I want.
Andrew meant take the other ones off, not the ones you're launching today. The ones that you already got.
You're saying you take all your tariffs off. I'm saying
we will take them off. That's right.
Then why is that not? I guess my question is, why has all of that not already happened? And does President Trump know that you'd be prepared to do that?
He knows, and Secretary Lutnick knows that we're willing to take these tariffs off, like in the next minute. If he said he's taking their tariffs off, let's look at the auto sector.
So, how much of this then is some kind of theatrical dance between both yourself, frankly, and the administration? I mean, it sounds to me like if you're prepared to take yours off right now, he should be prepared to take whatever we would implement, and we wouldn't have this conversation. What I can't figure out is whether both of you are waiting so that you can say that you've both won in some way.
Andrew, let me be very clear. We didn't start this tariff war. You know, a tariff on Canada is a tax on Americans. Simple as that.
But you've already got tariffs, Mr. Premier. You say you didn't start it. You already have all these existing tariffs that you're willing now to take off. We're putting them on today, right?
Joe, you've had these tariffs. I mean, we're getting tariffed on, the auto parts, for example, is a big part of our economy here. And right away, I had a conversation with the Prime Minister this morning, and I can tell you one thing: if he dropped all the tariffs, we'd have zero tariffs. We'd grow as I say, you can't unscramble the egg. You have to make a larger omelet. And I believe in the Amcan Fortress.
Premier, this is the idea that you're prepared to get rid of all of your tariffs is exactly what President Trump wants. And by the way, he would take that as a win. I mean, I think he'd take this interview as a win if in fact you're saying, okay, we'll do no tariffs, because then he should do no tariffs.
That's right. But right now, he's doing tariffs on the vehicles, right? So we're proposing the tariff, I should say. So it's just this tariff war between the two greatest countries is ridiculous. Again, we didn't start this. We want to build a relationship that we've had for 200 years.
I thought you were going to come down and have some conversations about the USMCA and, you know, some of that stuff. Maybe that wouldn't be. You did have that. Was there progress? Is it possible to talk about?
Joe, I thought it was a great conversation. We're dealing with very bright business people. There's no doubt. Secretary Lutnick is bright. So is the president. I'm not too sure if they understand the supply chain system between Canada and the U.S. It's so integrated. It's been that way in the auto sector since 1965, and it's worked. And we buy as many cars as we sell down there, and the ones we sell down there, 50% of them are made from American parts. Compared to Mexico, we buy 400% more cars in Mexico, 200% more than anyone in the world. Let's get back to growing our economy and strengthening our borders from China. As we're sitting here, China is building up their critical minerals and cutting the U.S. off. We have those critical minerals, and there's no one else I want to share them with than our greatest friend and ally.
We had Peter Welch on, the senator from Vermont, earlier, and he pointed out that he's been talking to small and medium and large business owners in Vermont. It is obviously the largest trading partner, Canada, for Vermont. He pointed out how crazy it could get if USMCA wasn't followed under some of these issues. Like if you have timber that is sent from Vermont up to Canada to be milled and cut and then sent back, and it gets tariffed on either side of that. You could be talking about some pretty substantial changes. Are these conversations you have had with members of the Trump administration?
I had the conversation with the Secretary Lutnick. He knows what's at stake. We're the #1 customer to the U.S., #1 trading partner to 28 states. Again, Ontario alone, Ontario would be your third largest trading partner in the world, over $500 billion of two-way trade. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I just want to build our relationship, strengthen our trade, and keep an eye on the people that don't like us. And there's one country that doesn't like us, and that's China.
What has the administration's response been? Do you feel like you have an understanding of whether there's going to be room to negotiate, or do you feel like you're just waiting to see what happens at 4 o'clock and then see any conversations that take place after that?
Well, I'm hoping there's room to negotiate, because if we don't sit across the table, this just escalates. We need to bring the heat down right now and, come with common sense solutions. And I'd be down there tomorrow to talk to Secretary Lutnick. I talked to him the other night and asked him, what are we expecting April 2nd? And he said he wasn't sure. Now, I don't know if he was blowing smoke or he really didn't know what to expect. Maybe it's the latter. But I have a great deal of respect for Secretary Lutnick. He's a smart person, smart business person. We need to get rid of these tariffs and focus on our real enemies around the world.
Doug, I was looking for an article I saw recently that said Canada, one thing they can do to just reset their entire economy is just to embrace the energy that you're able to provide in such an energy resource. Do you think Mark Carney, do you support him? Is he the right guy to be leading Canada at this point with his, I don't know, he talked about climate justice and climate this, climate that. I don't know. He definitely is a zealot. Is that the guy that you would prefer to be running the country when you need fossil fuels and exporting fossil fuels?
Yeah, and I'm not going to jump in the middle of that.
Oh, please do.
No, just hear me out for a minute. I'm not jumping into the federal election, but I will tell you,
Why not?
I believe he believes in building pipelines all the way east, all the way west, another one south, and another one north. I believe in the critical minerals. He believes in one-window permits. so we can get that critical minerals shipped down to our closest friends and allies. We have more critical minerals than anywhere in the entire world. And there's one place I want to ship them, and that's down to the U.S. And we have 33 of the most critical minerals right on your doorstep. 50% of the high-grade nickel that the U.S. uses for their military, for their aerospace and manufacturing comes from Ontario. Let's ship you more. Let's ship you more.
I guess getting back to our original point that Andrew was making, you're talking about the retaliatory tariffs that Trump's putting on, and you kind of keep dodging the point about the original tariffs that were already existing that Canada had. And why not get rid of those, and then maybe there wouldn't even be retaliatory tariffs? Why not do that first?
Well, I think he has to look at, the tariffs that he's put on Canada. I think we need to sit down and let's get back to a USCA deal instead of USMCA deal, because Mexico is bringing in cheap parts from China, slapping on a Made in Mexico sticker and costing American, Canadian jobs. So
Premier,
let's sit down and clear the slate and let's move forward.